Hi,
How are you?
how are you doing?
I'm going to show you the best portrait that has ever been painted of me, okay?
I love it, actually. Who did that?
It's an artist called Jacob El-Hanani. He's about my age, and he does abstract paintings, but he was sitting behind me at an event, and he did it a year or so ago. He only gave it to me recently, so
Oh, oh.
it's very me.
I actually really love it. No, I really love it, actually.
I
Yeah.
mean, you would recognize me, right? Well, you would. Yeah. So how's it going?
It's going. How are you doing?
Well, I don't know. What can I say? Personally, all right, you know.
Yeah.
I did I oh, maybe I didn't. Um, did I tell you that my meetings in Washington were all canceled?
No.
Okay. So I'll be careful how I say this, but
Yes.
I was going to have regularly scheduled meetings all next week, Monday through Friday,
Yes.
which is a meeting that happens 3 times a year
Yes.
that has probably been going on since 1980. And the reason for the meeting stems from an act of Congress, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we had all our preparatory material, all our travel, everything as usual until I think Thursday. And we all got an email saying that the priorities of the new administration were such that the staff did not have the bandwidth to handle this meeting, so it's been postponed.
Okay.
So I don't know what reading between those lines what I get, but if if it is postponed, they said postponed until March. So but my guess is that some of the people who run that area maybe don't have jobs um, for whatever reason. I don't know that, but
Right.
a lot of
Um,
people have been fired. I mean, this is not this is not anything that had could by any remote stretch of the imagination have political implications for one party or another. I mean, totally apolitical and bipartisan, but you never know. I mean, I
okay. I am doing this project. It's called the Healthy Homes Project. Part of the funding comes from the EPA. And it is about things like indoor air quality, lead paint, and in fact, so this specific training was on lead paint, which is a serious problem. I mean, lead is a danger to everyone, but it is especially it causes developmental delays. So, and of course, children that put things in their mouth. So, getting it out of homes of children and getting people aware of the dangers of lead, which is in every home that was made before
yeah
1978, which is almost almost all our homes have lead in
yeah
them. So,
yeah
but and this is not political. This is not. I mean, and I do political trainings. I do
yeah
real racism and stuff. But this to me had I hadn't thought of it as any kind of. This is we're not this. This information is equally important to all races, genders,
yeah.
economic statuses. This is just a, yeah. And then, but then I get a memo. You better send those follow-up materials out quickly because we might get a notice that this is environmental justice. That this training is being reclassified as environmental justice, and then we can't do it anymore. Which is, I mean,
So what is environmental justice a code for?
well, well. I mean, well, no. I mean, I think it's exactly that. It's climate change, but this is not lead. Well, I was going to say lead. Lead is
If the climate didn't change, you'd still have lead
you'd
poisoning.
still have lead poisoning. No, exactly. This has not. It is completely apolitical, but that's how wide their dragnets are. That it makes then employees wonder. Wait, can I do this? Is this that? And they don't care. They don't really care. They don't care about kids. They don't care about lead. They don't care. They're on the side of yeah, let's just cancel all of it, which they think is going to save money. But actually, I bet some of these things like tickets and things are already non-refundable. And so, I mean, the way they're doing it is as chaotic as it was at Twitter. They're using the same model. And so they fire a bunch of people, then half of them they have to hire back. The other half they have to pay off. And the actual savings, and then
Well,
things like,
I mean, surely with the lead situation alone, the cost in medical health going forward is going to be greater than anything they save.
absolutely.
Because there will be a generation of children who now will have been unnecessarily exposed to that, right?
Yeah. No, and no, I mean it causes, not just developmental delays, but like, aggression and ADHD and hyperactive. I mean, all these yeah, no,
Yeah.
it can have adverse, and it's not political, but um I mean and chaos is the point. I mean, chaos is the
I mean, assuming that Musk and his pals, Musk is now apparently in charge of the federal payroll system.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, apparently he's in charge of it now. And I mean, this is a guy who has no train. I mean, he's a private citizen with a lot of money being given.
A private citizen with a lot of money and a lot of lawsuits for a lot of discrimination in the factories, female employees harassment at the office level. I mean, in all his company, there's no company where he's not being sued by a competitor for basically industrial espionage, because he keeps joining a company, then basically stealing their technology and starting a new company that's like the same company. And then he doesn't care because he can afford to be sued. Him and Trump are aligned in that they have teams of lawyers, and that's all. They'll let it all play out in court, and they don't care how long it takes because they can usually outspend anyone else.
Also, yeah, and they use the time that it takes to go through the system to do what they want to do.
To do what they want to do and to create the narrative that they want to
That
create.
everybody's against them, that the establishment, which they now are, is against them. No, it's true.
And I remember this from the last time. It's funny to hear how Trump will continue to talk about the federal government despite being the head of it. Like his narrative is so contingent on them
but
versus me.
If he gets rid of all the nasty people in the federal government that don't like him, he's still not going to work. I mean, it's actually. So the chaos itself, is this supposed to be cleansing? I don't quite get the.
I think
It's
it's
just fun. Maybe it's just fun.
no. I think part of it is just it is fun, but it is also specifically for his base who really feels like they've been harmed and damaged and held back for 4 years. It is giving them fun. It is giving them a show of power, a show of, and I wonder, can he keep this up for 4 years, or is this kind of it, not it, but I mean, I think.
Well, it did point out that this is sort of him on steroids, but when he came in before, it was all about the wall and the Muslim ban and the Muslim ban and the wall and the wall and the wall, and that actually all fizzled. I mean, when it actually came down to it, I think he's doing a lot more damage that will take much longer to repair
Yes. No, that is true.
Um, I think, I mean, I just read that the New York Langone Hospital today refused a hormone treatment for two 12-year-old transitioning
Yeah.
that were going to have implants. And they told the parents, you should go to another hospital. We're not going to do it.
Right.
I mean, that's terrifying. I mean,
Yes, no, it is, and again, these are the same people who say, government out of X, Y, or Z, but then they're telling families and doctors what they can and can't do against, and well, again, here's the thing. I think the best thing about 100 executive orders on day one, which I think was actually 80 or whatever, but is that just means the lawsuits can get started faster, and I mean many of these things can and already are and will be challenged. Just take something like gender affirming care. The same hormones that are used for a child who is gender nonconforming are also used for a child who develops puberty early or develop. There are actually a variety of medical
yeah,
reasons that you're going to give this. So now you are only saying this person can't have it because of their gender. That is gender discrimination. I mean, well, we'll see how Trump's courts see that, but that, I mean, it's at least the law as we've known it our entire lives. It's pretty cut and dry, but they're doing it, and I think it'll be challenged. So I mean, the sooner the better.
I guess you're right. That's a good way of looking at it. The sooner the better. And we'll find out whether the Supreme Court is his or not, if he owns it or not.
Right. But, and the flip side is, no, like you said, it is kind of on steroids. They have a team of, this time, the Muslim ban, it took them 3 tries, but they did actually get it through. It didn't, I mean, it didn't actually, it was never a ban. It never actually banned anyone, but it did limit. I mean, I work with immigrant and refugee communities from East Africa, and it did actually,
Yeah,
it
it has a
caused chaos.
chilling effect.
It had an effect. Yes, no, it had an effect, but legally it took them 3 tries. I think this time, well, apparently they're using AI for to write the executive orders, but I think they'll be a little bit more successful. I do think they learned some lessons from the first time, and so unfortunately, I think that they have crafted their language in ways that are going to be harder to challenge. But I still welcome the challenges, and I now or down the line. I mean, again, when you think about the history of something like civil rights, like segregation, and all the different eras we had, where we had things like separate but equal, and Jim Crow laws, and all of those were incremental, but you have to start somewhere. I don't know. So I mean, yeah, I feel like we are going to take many steps back in many things. Climate being real. I mean, again, race, gender, culture it feels no, and it is because that risks real people's lives. But I think also climate, the clock is running too fast on that. I mean, there is no room to go back, and I don't,
There's barely any room, even the countries that pledged to do what needed to be done were not really coming across as quickly as they needed to anyway.
Yeah, even if we did everything, that we hope to do by 2030 or 2050, we're not sure. The best scientists aren't sure that is enough, and yet you've got to, you would at least do that. I mean, but.
If he imposes the tariffs today or Monday or whenever, I wonder how long it will take for the price of common goods to go up. I mean, if it happens quickly, then he's going to have his comeuppance. I mean, even his MAGA base is not going to be very happy if the oil that we get from Canada and Mexico doesn't come, and we have to pay $1 more for oil at the gas pump. I mean,
I think
these things may get very expensive quite quickly.
Yes, he is appealing to his good buddies, the Saudis, and he's saying it's about Russia and hampering them. But really, I think we know why he wants the Saudis to open up oil reserves, and they might do it. I mean, they might. I mean, Jared Kushner's really good friends with them. I mean, they might do it.
But he's got 25% against allies, Canada and Mexico, and only 10% against his foe of China. So how do you justify that based on?
I don't even yeah, I don't even that one.
Um,
No, I you do what you. They are our biggest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, and yet I think, and I could be wrong, they're our biggest trading partner. Again, I am not an economist. Our trading partners in things like raw materials, in things like agricultural, but industrial. But China is our. We get our consumer goods from China. If the prices of iPhones go up, people will feel that immediately. If something that we trade with Mexico that is a raw material down the line makes cars more expensive. I think there's a strategy there. Does that make sense? That.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, if we're importing whole goods from China, then it's straightforward.
Yes, then the price
However,
jumps.
we're getting timber from Canada that we're turning into something that goes back to Canada that is turned into something that comes
Yes,
back. Mexico, I know that we build cars. One
yes,
car can cross the border 2 or 3 times while
yes.
it's being built. So I don't know whether the does a tariff get put on at the last, it comes in and goes out and
Right.
comes
No,
in.
that I don't even know. That's actually a good question. But I think again, all that back and forth, it's just wiggle room for his narrative, which is whatever prices that people feel, they'll have a reason why it's not tariffs, why it's actually Joe Biden's fault, why George Soros did it. I don't know, whatever.
But he is very susceptible to transactional politics. And some of the people or companies that he's putting these tariffs on presumably are rich and powerful and have lobbyists
Yes.
and I mean they're not all Democrat. I mean,
No, 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 no. That's I wonder.
it's kind of anti-capitalist too, isn't
But
it?
I mean, but he sits down with business leaders. I don't know what they're doing. I haven't heard any speak out about it.
No.
Even the ones who I don't necessarily assume are or who I think are more liberally aligned. I haven't heard anyone speak out about it yet. Any of the rich ones, not even like Jamie Dimon or like I don't know.
They're all afraid. They're all.
No, I think no. I think he's met with them and he convinced them of something, and they're holding their breath. But I don't. If it turns out to be false, as many of the things he promises are, they will start to speak out. But if it's making them money, they'll stay silent. But they're taking a wait and see. I think is my guess.
Also, for almost anything, there's a workaround that
Right. Well, I mean that's the yes.
there'll be so many exceptions with good
Oh,
reason.
right. No, that's what I bet he's already.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's bluster. It's to his base. It's not. It's not based. I mean, apart from people like Stephen Miller, who I think are probably cloned from Roy Cohn. That,
I'm sorry. I mean, he really is. I mean, Stephen Miller is like the caricature from like Despicable Me. Like this is who you base movie villains on. Like he's so over the top. Yeah.
so, but other than that, I mean, I know he's surrounded himself now with true believers, but they're also true believers, especially the Meta TikTok people, they're true believers because at the moment he's on their side, right?
Yes.
In other words, they're what they're giving up, let's say their their former commitment to DEI or whatever, what they're willing to toss aside,
Mhm.
they're not doing that because of some newfound conservative belief. It's simply because they want to kowtow to him because he can cancel them or not. Or I mean he has some power over them,
Yes.
and and he can help them make money or he can hinder them from making money.
Yes. No, and I think, but though I think specifically with Mark Zuckerberg, I think he started drinking the Kool-Aid. I think he was never accepted by liberals, no matter how much money he donated. He was always just made fun of, and so he thought, well, I'll try this side and see what happens. And he's not.
But this is the real, this new aggressive masculinity is the real Mark Zuckerberg.
Did you ever watch? Did you ever see the movie The Social Network?
No, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. It's about him. It's about the founding of Facebook. It's still worth watching. My favorite part of it is still Justin Timberlake, who plays, I forget his name, and Sean, whatever, the guy, like the investor. Anyway, it's about the founding of Facebook. Facebook was basically founded so that he could meet girls. It was founded so that he created a social website on his college so that he could look at the profiles of girls. That is the gestation of who he is as a human being. The cutthroatness he cut out. So the ultimate, and yeah, spoiler, but it's again a 10 or 15-year-old movie, is he made side deals and cut out his original co-founder and then just sat there in deposition hearings and like stared him down in the face, and the guy was just like, so I'm getting nothing, and he was just like, yeah, you're getting nothing, and didn't care, and this was like his best friend from college. This is who Mark Zuckerberg. So I think a lot of that, yeah, actually is. I really do think he thinks about the.
That's baked in. That's his personality.
Yeah, yeah. And I think playing the nice guy was something he thought would win over, and I think he probably resents that. And I think, yeah, no, I think but he's never going to be accepted as one of them either. They don't really like him. I'm not going to feel sorry for the billionaires, but I do. It doesn't matter what he does, and it doesn't matter how much.
He's not in any club.
And he never will be. But yeah, no, and no. Okay, let's. So Meta settled a lawsuit with Trump for $25 million. This is just like ABC News did over the George Stephanopoulos interview. This is. I mean, okay, which part is worse? Is it worse that these are just basically outright bribes, or that, well, specifically for ABC News, that they're not fighting back, that they are not defending journalism in court, that they are de facto by settling saying, it's okay that these certain things are hampered or are censored or the narrative is being rewritten or controlled. Which has repercussions. So now people are being removed from Pentagon offices, like news people who have always had office space there. The press room, of course, they already said, they're going to take away New York Times, goodbye New York Times, and hello, some random vlogger who probably has like German World War II paraphernalia in their backgrounds, but it doesn't matter because now they're a White House correspondent. I mean, it's not defending journalism has real serious consequences, and
well, I see it folding almost everywhere. That when Carolyn Kennedy sent that letter about RFK Jr., did you see that?
mm-hmm.
did you, and her son made a video of her reading the
Okay,
letter?
well, refresh my memory because I know she spoke out, but I don't know the content or.
The day before his hearings
Yes,
began, he wrote a letter to the senators, basically, to
yes,
the, everybody. And the point of the letter was he's a predator.
yeah,
He may be clean now, but his cousin died because he fed him drugs.
hmm
He he put animals in a blender to feed his snake or something. In other words, it was very, I mean, it was,
hmm
and when she said, basically he is terribly unfit on every level, right? And it was quite lengthy. And her son filmed her saying it, right?
yes,
So
yeah, yeah,
so so she's saying it to the world too,
yes,
right?
yep,
The New York Times, of course, carried the story,
yes.
but they carried it as a rift within the Kennedy family, which
Like
is
just a
which is
personal
like
spat between.
People magazine, I mean, in other
Yep.
words, are we still talking about, Jackie Kennedy or whatever? It's not a rift within the Kennedy family.
Okay.
It's somebody who knows this guy intimately and has known him all his life and believes that he's responsible for people, even his own relatives dying, let alone children who had measles, etc.
Right.
And and the hypocrisy of him vaccinating his own children and then preaching against it.
Oh, I didn't know that was true.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot
Oh, no, yeah, no. I mean, so yeah. Well, the headline says it all. So there was an incident in Samoa where nurses actually this it was absolutely human error. I think a child died or children died because they misdosed vaccinations, but this led to widespread mistrust of
yes,
vaccinations, which people
yes.
felt was a public health crisis. But he swooped in as an opportunity, and specifically an opportunity to like, hey, let's just A/B test it with children's lives and see what happens. Like that's that. The animals thing is just, I mean, there's, I still dissect how much of like they're just weird was effective or not effective, but it's not it's the thing with the bear, the thing with the whale carcass on the roof of the car, he hurting animals is like psychopathic behavior. It is like, I mean, it really is. I mean, it is like so that does actually really disturb me. And again, maybe it's just because I love animals so much and sometimes more than people. But oh no, I'm sorry. And then the way things are being covered. So on Wednesday they report that PBS and NPR are being investigated, and on Thursday, I swear, NPR did like a 40-minute segment on Melania Trump and her like. I was like, what is like it is.
Well, did Netflix spend millions to do a documentary about her? I
Yeah,
mean,
yes, yep. I think it's Amazon Prime, but yeah, they're spending
ever. I mean,
and it's, I mean, and it's $40 million, and it's to her. She's involved. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's a hag. It's a yeah.
she gets both a puff piece and money for it. She gets paid. I mean, yeah, it's, and again, I mean, we already predicted they're still going to keep selling NFTs. There's still any of the double blind trust or anything that they said they were going to, even any semblance of, yeah.
No, no. She had an NFT come out before the inauguration. Apparently, I don't. Yeah. And of
But
course,
I mean,
he accuses everybody for doing what he does, right?
yes,
And this crash in Washington was because of he's implying the air traffic controllers were mentally defective, disabled, non-white people.
yeah.
And that's
No, I mean, no, and I really, Senator Senator and veteran Tammy Duckworth pointing out that he's just making up complete. First of all, so like everything, That comes from a Fox News story from several years ago that again just speculates. Like I really wonder if the people on Fox News, I mean, because I know for a fact, because there's documentaries about how they make their quote unquote news. I mean, it's exactly like the Weekly World News in the 80s where they're pitching stories like, well, RFK Sr. is still alive and aliens exist and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of like we're creative artists, we're writers. I mean, Fox News went to court and said, we're entertainment. That's why their editorialists can't really be sued because they're entertainment. Their news division can be sued because they have to be fact-based. But their editorialists, the people, the Sean Hannitys and the Jesse Waters and all that, they can say whatever they want because it is classified as entertainment, not news. And so they do. They just make it up. And I wonder, do they feel responsible when things they know they made up are now directing policy, it's coming out of the president's mouth and dictating policy? Do they feel guilty? Because I don't think they're even paid enough to dictate policy. They're paid like Fox News writer, midnight and Fox News salaries. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I will say this, that I don't think, I mean, I'm saying this about the profession that your grandfather was involved with.
Yes.
I don't know. I think guilt in journalism is very rare. I think getting the story,
no, okay, yeah.
story is all, and I think that a certain type of journalist, and I'm not just saying British or American, where a certain kind of journalist is so focused on how many people read or follow their story and getting the next story, that I don't think guilt enters into it, because they live in they exist in a parallel universe where, well, if you want to believe that.
Well, no, right. Yeah.
Almost, right?
Yes.
In other words,
I also in my head drew a parallel to
language.
Sorry, go ahead.
Found the language in some obscure, bureaucratic, I don't know, 500-page book of rules,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And they've twisted it and extracted it and repackaged it so that Trump can say, you know, there was a conspiracy against white people or something.
Right.
They, you know, they know that they know that they have colored the truth, or they really made stuff up out of whole cloth.
Right.
They do not care.
No, they don't care. So as far as journalism, I think I in my head drew a parallel between sort of the correction, just the existence of the correction. We'll just run a small page 57 correction and like Catholics and confession, like it doesn't really matter what I say. I have a mechanism to fix it all.
Oops, we made a mistake at the bottom of page 52, right?
But Tammy Duckworth pointed out that Trump, you know, he's making these things up, and he knows he's making these things up while these soldiers' bodies have yet to be recovered. They're still at the, you know, and he's making things up about that, implying things about them, or feeding into conspiracy theories about them and their competence, when he should be meeting with their families. I mean, the lack of. I mean, he's the commander in chief now, and that is, there's that, and no, and I think obviously Trump's sexism, racism, homophobia, and transphobia are very openly discussed, but his ableism, and specifically how much he targets people with physical and mental disabilities, is really, I mean, it's that I think that's worth noting and discussing as well.
Something happened to him as a child where he was frightened by somebody who didn't have a leg or something, because he's really, from the beginning, he reels back from
Yeah.
any kind of disability
Yeah.
or
and
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 so,
happily uses them as again. Yeah, if I don't identify with you, then you're just a punching bag to me. So that's just, I mean, that's, yeah. But we'll have,
it's
yeah.
their own fault. Basically, it's like he was saying John McCain was failed because he was a prisoner. It's their own fault, right? If you're born with half a brain, it's because it's your own fault.
Okay, so people are saying, so Musk's gesture, people are saying that is specifically the purpose of that was, and again, this is just someone's theory, but was because he had lost Steve Bannon and the sort of Nazi wing of the Trump sphere because of his support for the visas. And so he had to do a bold gesture specifically to win them back because he was afraid of being kicked out because they're central to the, you know.
But Steve Bannon was kicked out. Steve Bannon is he back in the White House?
He's well. This is. I mean, this is one of those things. I'm still waiting for the report that Pillow Guy is sneaking in the back door because Trump knows it's not a good look to meet with some of these people, but that doesn't mean he doesn't like these people. That doesn't mean these are his favorite people. They got in trouble for saying the parts that he still can't quite say out loud. That he still has to massage a little bit, though he's almost all those guardrails are almost up too. But but yeah, Steve Bannon. But Steve Bannon was at the Madison Square Garden, the big Puerto
Okay.
Rico hate rally. Steve Bannon's around. He didn't go
Oh
anywhere.
no, he's around, but I mean he hates Elon Musk, right? I mean
Yes, and no, and so no, and that, and he does. He speaks to and controls, and him and Alex Jones, that the most nationalist of the base.
so
So
they are the real deal.
well, I mean, they're the
They
ones who.
believe they're the real deal, and Elon is just putting on what clothing he needs to put on
Yes,
in order to get to be sitting next to Donald Trump.
yes. What else? How was your podcast? It wasn't with Joe Rogan.
No, no. Who is he? He's a right wing one.
Well, he says he's just asking questions. He
No,
welcomes
no.
everyone.
My podcast was with a woman named Megan Fox Kelly, not Megan.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And she's been in the art world quite a long time, and she has a regular podcast about with writers about book, well, with various different people in the art world, and it's she has a proper kind of, how should I say, machinery behind her. She does it herself. It's not
Yes.
with a broadcasting company, but it's widely listened to. And I did one probably just not more than a year ago with her when about the second edition of the
Yes.
Value, and
Yes.
she, when my book came out, the new one, she said she wanted to talk to me, and so she's very easy to talk to,
Nice.
and not only is she easy to talk to, but her office has the technical proficiency to edit so that if either of us want to re-say something, it's easy to do
Yes.
that
Yeah.
live. But I did do a talk on Thursday, which was at, believe it or not, the rather swanky offices of the company that handles art insurance for lots of people.
You mentioned this, and yeah, no, and so
It was very well attended. I think I think because they had a buffet afterwards, but no, there were a lot of people, friends of people I knew. I was surprised
okay,
to meet them,
yeah, but
and
collectors,
I
there were
was being
collectors.
interviewed. Not really. They were there was some auction house people, some
Okay,
some academics.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Friend of mine who's retired now, but he was the FBI art guy, and
Hmm.
he came by, kind of more or less uh, people involved in the mechanics of the business. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. 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 Okay.
And there's a woman who has been she's been an insurance adjuster for years. Everybody likes her. She was retiring, and she was the one who was asking me questions. So
Yeah.
we did um, I, I, it's the company's name is Gallagher, and it may be online. I'm not sure. I didn't know it was being zoomed at the
Hmm.
same because on the way home I got a text from a friend, and she said I watched your talk on Zoom, but
Huh.
the text, the voice text, she said garbled almost everything you. In other words,
Oh.
it was like when you, I don't know, you get I often get these voicemail
Yeah.
and I read them and I
Yes.
have to interpret it,
Yeah.
right? She said it was very funny, but
Yeah,
anyway,
no, Zoom's interpretation is not ideal. Yeah, it can be comical. It can be
said it was very funny, but so I did that, and some people had brought books for me to
nice.
sign. It was very nice.
Yes, nice.
Yeah. So
What does next week look like for you?
what next week? Well, it's kind of open because I was going to be in Washington. So
Oh, that was going to be next
I,
week. Oh. Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was
it
that
happened
immediate. Like,
very last minute, very
yeah,
last minute.
okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's really important. I mean, important because for 3 or 4 weeks before these meetings, we get lots of instructions and material to digest and read.
And
And
no, okay. Well, and I mean, some of the things that okay. Here's just a basic example. Some of the things that the National Institutes of Health is responsible for many, many medical studies and trials. If they pause, it's not just a pause. They will have to reset or restart with all new patients because the data will be
yeah,
corrupted. The studies will have to end. And so but these, we're talking about health saving studies that ultimately, again, they're more interested in just doing it quickly in chaos because they don't really care. Ultimately, they're going to figure out they actually need that these are health issues that affect everyone and they need, so they're going to pay for them again, and they're paying for what got lost. They're paying for people who did work in to sending out
well,
emails.
in my case, or in our case, that I mean, not to divulge a lot, but there are 4 overseas governments that we would be meeting with on Zoom
Right.
over the course of 5 days,
Yes.
different time zones.
Yes.
So that meant that those government officials in 4 countries
Yep.
had been prepared to meet with us at, I don't know, 5 a.m.,
Yep.
5 p.m., whatever it was. It's
Yep.
a very, I mean, we just have to read stuff and turn up. The actual,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
it's elaborate process of putting it together. And they said they didn't have the bandwidth, which either means people have been let go or they're scrambling, having to deal with lots of other stuff.
Well, and some of it. Well, one of the things. So one of the things. So obviously they're using return to office, but one of the things they're doing is purposely, or at least it's being implied, purposely reassigning people to, well, tasks that they want happening. But taking someone who came from an office of diversity and assigning them to be in
Yeah.
charge of auditing diversity for assigning them to onerous tasks or tasks that are intentionally to get them to quit. And some people are.
Okay, final question.
Yes.
I want your odds on this. What are the odds that Trump will pardon Eric Adams?
Oh, that wasn't on my bingo card, but Um, I'm still going to say low. I'm going to say low only because
Oh, Eric,
Adams is black.
he's
Adams
trying
is
very hard. He's trying very hard.
is technically a Democrat, is on paper a Democrat, regardless of what his cop credentials and voting history suggest. What makes you say he's trying really hard? I guess I'm not up on my
Well,
Adams.
I think because Eric is has sidled up to Trump a lot in the last couple of weeks, and he's gonna carry out Trump's immigration
Yes,
policy,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and he's been down to Mar-a-Lago. He's kissed the ring, you know, and he's. I mean, Trump loves bad boys. You know, he's a
Right,
bad
no,
boy.
right.
I mean, he would have. I think if if Menendez hadn't been such a Democrat for so long, he'd probably pardon Menendez
I mean,
too.
gold bars. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
like prepper. That's pretty. That's their territory. Yeah.
yeah.
No. Okay. Pardon. Okay. I'm odds. I'm gonna say. I don't know how odds work. I would say 2 to 1 that he doesn't. But I know. I think there's
Okay,
probably still a chance that he does. No. That. Yeah.
I agree with you. Okay.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right. Anything?
Leftenbach,
No. What made you smile this week? Anything make anything?
uh, oh yes, I mean, this is a few years ago. I was paired on Zoom. It was actually during COVID as a mentor to a young woman who was in the high school. She came out of a scholarship program in Harlem, and she went to Brearley,
Yes.
and then I caught up with her last week, and she's graduating from Occidental College in California, and she's really nice, and she's done incredibly well, not just academically, but as a person, and it really made me very, very happy. We hadn't spoken for a year or more than that on Zoom. I've only Zoomed with her. I haven't met her. So she's
I'm
gone
actually.
from,
Oh, sorry. Go on. No, yeah.
I think I mean, she never expressed this, but I can imagine it was not easy for her going to a fancy school, getting a scholarship to a fancy girls' school, and um, she's made a lot of friends, and she's got an internship with a good gallery in California. She's probably going into I mean, originally, like when high school, she wanted to be an artist. Her name is Faye Campbell, but now she's probably going to go into curatorial work or museum work. And this is 100% what my business needs. You know, we can clone her. We need people like her, but I was really smiling. We had a great chat, and I'm going to try and help her if she comes back to New York, she probably wants to. I try and get her an internship in New York. So yeah, so smile.
I would like to use that anecdote because I am actually going to pitch at my job a mentorship program, and don't tell Donald Trump, but specifically because women, people of color, and others are least likely to have opportunities for mentors and mentorship. I mean, statistically. And the benefits of mentorship are, yeah, no, it's not common in our industry, but I think the benefits of mentorship, and well, no, I want to pitch that story because the data shows it benefits both parties, and so
Oh,
you've talked about
100%.
this woman multiple times, and so it has impacted you as well, and so
100%.
yeah.
No, I told her that, and yeah, and it's even just to give somebody a sense of confidence in what they're doing or what their decisions they're making, because an adult who is not related to them, who is not, in charge of them, who is not a teacher, is somebody who they probably have some respect for, is giving them the thumbs up, or there if they want to talk. I mean, we talked about this and that, this as opposed to that.
Yep.
She's very open. She sent me a link to her some kind of art things she did with some friends, and it's like really refreshing. It's
Yeah.
really refreshing. So there, that made me smile.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, I love that. Okay, that sounds like a great way to end. Hope you have a great week.
Speak to you next Saturday.
Yep.
Okay. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.